Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Row of Gilead here. Today we're coming at you with some rampant speculation, some of the most fun videos we do here on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Astral team, hypothesizing some of the members, talking about some things that have already been data mined, and seeing where we can go from here. So with that being said, friends, let's jump right into it and let's talk the Astral team. Now the first you got to understand is the Astral plane, which consists pretty universally across all Marvel comics, and we're just going to give you a brief breakdown of what it's all about and who could potentially be inside of it. So the Astral plane is an alternate dimension and an equivalent space to our own, where all matter is composed of ectoplasm. On the Astral plane, the life energies and consciousnesses of other beings are discernible to adepts. Adepts can reach the Astral plane by psionic or magical means. Powerful psychics and sorcerers astral project their spirit or astral body into the realm, allowing them to manipulate the astral plane. Example, turning their arms into weapons or growing in height. So this ties into a lot of elder gods, a lot of elder characters that are kind of lesser known in Marvel. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of focus on the characters that are either already in the game that could be reworked, or the characters that are big enough names that are going to make Scopely some money. Because we got to be honest here, Scopely and Marvel Strike Force, they're here to make money, so they're not going to put in characters that have almost zero fan appeal, right? Some of these characters might be a little off the cuff for the tag, but they fit with the team, the reworks, and their desire to get us to spend money. So, residents, people who live in the Shadow World. We've got Astral, which is a elder god. Shadow King, which we already have as data mine coming to the game. Onslaught. Everyone's been wanting Onslaught, guys. And yeah, we could get it on this team. Shathra, which is a wasp spider totem character, which we're going to talk about here at the end of the video. Shade and Mother Righteous are the big ones. But in the notes, we also notice the Astral Realm of Morgan Le Fay. She's got her own little subsection of the Astral Plane. She is a superior sorceress. And, so that's going to be coming up as one of the characters that we may see in the reworks. But let's talk about the character that we already know is coming to the game at some point as a legendary, the Shadow King. Shadow King primarily shows up in X-Men. He's allegedly a multiversal manifestation of the dark side of human consciousness, spawned by the first Nightmare. When this mutant, Amal Farouk, lost his father at the market he lived in, the Shadow King appeared to him and promised him that he would never be alone again. Amal accepted the deal and bonded with the Shadow King. For those of you who are fans of X-Men 97, the original run, Shadow King was actually one of the first villains they fought in Season 1. It's like Rogue and Storm go to Africa to save Storm's, I want to say godson or nephew. Don't quote me on that one. But he gets possessed by Shadow King, and then there's this whole back and forth. It's a pretty interesting episode. It was the first time that they dealt with a psychic threat without Professor X. So Shadow King, we know is coming to the game. Very solid character. First appearance as X-Men in 1978. Ooh, it was a Chris Claremont run. Okay, that's a good writer. So Shadow King is, we've seen it in the data mines, more than likely to be the next legendary. I don't want to spend too much time dwelling on Shadow King, other than the fact that pretty cool character. It'll be interesting to see if he ends up with the Astral tag and if that becomes its own team. Everybody's favorite topic, the second character we think they're going to add to this game is Onslaught. Now, I personally would prefer to see Onslaught be more of a legendary character or a mythic or like a chase for Battle World, but Onslaught does fit in really nicely with this whole Astral team thought process. So Onslaught is a powerful psionic entity born from the inner hatred, resentment, and malignance from both sides of the mutant struggle when the minds of Professor X and Magneto are momentarily merged. Professor X's breaking point came when Magneto ripped the adamantium from Wolverine's skeleton. In a final act of desperation, Xavier used his telepathic abilities to render Magneto catatonic, inadvertently absorbing Magneto's intense emotions and negative feelings, which combined with his own power and repressed darkness, this fusion birthed Onslaught, a separate entity within Xavier's psyche. Initially dormant, Onslaught's emergence was catalyzed by Xavier's mounting frustration with social hostility towards mutants and personal tragedies. And Onslaught was freed from Xavier when, and here's the key, Xavier's astral body was pulled down to the physical plane by Nate Gray, which is the son of Jean Grey and Cyclops. So, taking control of Xavier's mind and body, Onslaught aimed to force the X-Men into a militant stance against humans. Upon encountering resistance, Onslaught unleashed his full power, orchestrating a plan to transform humanity into a collective consciousness. So lots of, like, big brain, astral, mystical, psychic powers. And for this, he kidnapped and absorbed Franklin Richards, later known as Nate Gray. Oh, I got that one way wrong. Sorry, guys. Onslaught's goal was originally the same as Magneto's, mutant supremacy. But when he learned about the Age of Apocalypse timeline from Nate Gray's memories, he realized that mutants were no better. That's pretty interesting. So including X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Avengers united against Onslaught and dismantled the threat, destroying him at a great cost to themselves. However, Franklin Richards saved them by creating a pocket universe. Yeah, Franklin Richards. Good old hot and busted Franklin Richards. So I think if we see this might be our tax time marquee, right? They always drop a big character in February, March to go along with the U.S. tax return season. That's when we got Kang. That's when we got Black Knight. Both game-changing characters that could have easily been legendaries. So it stands to reason that since we're going to have this stuff coming out right after the holiday season, that might be when we see Onslaught added to this Astral team. Now, we want to talk about reworks, because all of these new teams have had a couple reworks to them, and they're usually popular characters, some of which people have, some of which people don't, but they're always teams and characters that need a little more love because they are mainstays in the Marvel Universe, and we don't want to, let them fall by the wayside. So Phoenix, and or the Phoenix Force, I think is a very strong contender for a rework. Phoenix is easily, with Jean Grey, one of the most powerful and popular X-Men. Phoenix has been on the back burner ever since I started playing the game 2 years ago. When I started playing, Phoenix was already a non-issue. She has some use in Cosmic Crucible and War, if you ever built up enough, if you have the right team around her, but generally speaking, Phoenix is kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of everyday use, even though she's one of the biggest fan favorite characters in the game. So it would not surprise me if we saw Phoenix get a rework for the Astral team. Moving on, another potential rework for Astral will be Morgan Le Fay. She's a very pivotal character when it comes to the APOC grind. She's one of your 4 horsemen in the game. So she's gonna need reworks eventually to keep her relevant and to make sure that the grind you're going on for Apocalypse, stays relevant and stays fun and enjoyable. So, and we've already seen Agatha from her team get reworked for the Night Stalkers. So, if they're slowly starting to pull apart these teams to rework them into better, more comic accurate teams, or just more viable teams going forward for different game modes, I would be shocked if Morgan Le Fay didn't see a significant rework. She's one of the most powerful mystics in the Marvel Universe. She's one of the most powerful telepaths as far as being able to access the astral plane and even carve out her own version of it. So as far as that's concerned, I can see her being an easy rework and something that everyone would get really excited about. Now, rampant speculation time continues, friends. I have a 5th, and I've been really hoping they add these characters to the game because it's part of my favorite Spider-Man run. And we know Scopely cannot stay away from the spiders for long. So we're going to talk about my favorite mystic villain in the Spider-Verse, Morlun. Now, I know a lot of you might not have heard of Morlun. Morlun comes out of the Straczynski run in the early 2000s. We were talking on chat. It's actually part of the 9/11 trade paperback run from 2001. And Morlun is a psychic energy vampire. Think like Morbius, but what Morlun does is Morlun travels the whole multiverse, murdering spider people. And the whole mentality about Morlun, let's go into the origin for you here a little bit so you can understand a bit more. In the distant past, Morlun and his family took part in a battle against the Master Weaver, who is this character right here. That's the Master Weaver. That's all we really need to know for Master Weaver. And succeeded in capturing it and using its power to travel between dimensions and hunt all spider totemic avatars. Now, the spider totems, for those of you who are not comic book savvy to this run, the spider totems are basically part of a elemental force in each universe that hold the universe together. There's the Panther totem, there's the spider totems, there's a few of them. And that could be very impactful for a couple reasons, and we'll get to that in a second. At some point in his past, Morlun traveled to Earth 616 and hunted a spider totem named Ezekiel Sims, who is another character we'll rampantly speculate about in another video. who managed to elude him. Ezekiel will go on to compile research on Moreland and take measures to protect future generations of spider totems, such as Cindy Moon and our mainstay Peter Parker, explaining that the totemic side of their powers, warning them about Moreland, and attempting to take them into protective custody. If you guys have never read this run, this is probably one of the biggest 3 fights in the comics, like as far as like spanning, sprawling epicness that our mainstay Peter Parker has ever had. I would put Moreland right up there with the Superior 6, like End of the World, when he builds the robot spider suit, and also up there with, oh goodness, I don't know. That's the big titular thing, is the Superior 6, or I mean, he's on the same level as a lot of Mystic villains. So I like Moreland a lot. I think he's an underutilized character. I think they love circling back to spider characters every year. So I think having Moreland in the game as a counter for your Mystic Spider people would be great. In the description here, it mentions that he defeats a whole bunch of spiders that we're actually pretty familiar with. And so, where is it at? All right, so he goes up against a lot of totem characters, gang, including, he gets brought back to life to take on the Black Panther and the Black Panther totem. He has tie-ins to Black Panther 1MM and to T'Challa Black Panther. He is, again, very tied in with the Spider-Verse. Here we go. Fighting Corrupted Spider, Wasp, Punk, Noir, Mayday, Ghost Spider. Teams up with Silk, Sun Spider, Web Weaver. So he gets around the Spider-Verse both as a villain and as a reluctant assistant when they have to deal with other bigger totem-based mystical problems. His powers, for those of you who don't know, life absorption. The more he kills and fights totems, he gets more strength, more health, and can really regenerate himself while killing a spider person or a panther person or whatever totem he's going after. He's got superhuman strength, superhuman speed, superhuman stamina, superhuman durability. In the comics, it's said that he is the hardest punch that Peter Parker has ever taken. And there's a scene where Peter Parker basically breaks his hand trying to punch Moreland in the face, and that's before he goes all battle damaged. So crazy strong. Superhuman agility, reflexes, immortality, and flight. So his weakness is he must regularly feed on the life forces of other living beings to stay alive. Specifically the totems, the purer the life energy, the better off he's going to be. He eventually lets his guard down when he is feeding. This weakness enabled Ezekiel to break his nose and the other to kill him. When his guard is down, he is as vulnerable as any normal human. So Moreland is kind of like one of those characters. He's almost like Achilles, where as long as he is like super confident in his zone, there's nothing that can stop him. But as soon as you make him doubt himself, you find that one weak point, Moreland can start to crumble. But the thing about Moreland is he inspires so much fear into these Spider-Verse totem characters that he's a really interesting unit. So if I had to take a pick, my fantasy guess for this team, I would love to see Moreland. I think Moreland would be a great setup for future spider villains and totem characters in the future. And he'd just be really cool. And it plays in with the whole Night Stalkers thing we've got going on in the game right now. I think he'd mesh really well with characters like Shadow King and Onslaught, because they're kind of like almost forces of nature when it comes to the astral plane and how they travel through the multiverse. So yeah, I think Moreland would be a fantastic 5th member to this team. And some honorable mentions for reworks or potential things we could see on this team. We could see Madeline Pryor or Emma Frost get a kit rework to fit on this team, as they're both powerful psychics from the Marvel Universe. Yeah, that's about it as far as that's concerned. So those are my predictions, our rampant speculation for what's going on with the Astral team, my fantasy pick here at the end. So friends, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you found this video entertaining. I hope it was a lot of fun getting to watch and rampantly speculate with me on upcoming characters to Marvel Strike Force. So if you want to see more of this stuff, please make sure you like and comment down below. Please let me know what other characters you think might be part of this Astral team going forward, whether they be new characters or reworks. And as always, friends, long days, pleasant nights, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys in the next one.